Blumhouse is one of the biggest names in horror movies, and they're about to break into horror games. The first game in the lineup is going to be Fear the Spotlight. Here to tell us about it, I'm joined by Louise from Blumhouse Games, and Bryan and Christa, cozy game pals and creators of Fear the Spotlight. Now, Louise, why is this the first Blumhouse game to be set out into the world?
Well, I think the exciting thing was we announced our full slate at Summer Games Fest. We announced 6 different games, and we did that because we know that horror comes in lots of different flavors. We know that when you watch a horror movie, you've got all these different subgenres. Maybe your favorite type is found footage or slashers or supernatural horror. So what we wanted to do was wanted to show the full gamut of what we can do in terms of fear. And the first in that is our 90s teen horror, Fear the Spotlight, which really epitomizes everything we love because it's creepy, it's got a great narrative, it's got great characters, and it's got a real twist on the sort of 90s nostalgic experiences that we love.
Now, Christa and Bryan, what was it like to be approached like this? Because this is kind of a big honor, right?
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable. We still can't believe that we're here and doing this.
Yeah, this is really just a passion project. We wanted to make a game because we were curious if we could do it, and we love horror. We wanted to put all of the stuff that we loved about horror into a game, try to indoctrinate our friends into playing horror games, and to be found by Blumhouse and like have that shared vision of wanting to share horror with more gamers. It's been awesome.
Now, your studio name is Cozy Game Pals, which is like the least scary sounding studio name imaginable. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of the balance of this, rather charming, somewhat cozy aesthetic and kind of how the horror actually comes out?
Yeah, I think horror is multifaceted, and we are also multifaceted. So as much as there is horror in this game, there's also heart in it, there's levity, there's dark parts, but there's light parts in there too. So I think we tried to inject as much coziness as we can into a horror game.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of your horror influences, both in terms of games and in terms of movies?
Oh yeah, there's so many to count. I think like this game is just a mashup of everything we've ever played. Like you can clearly see like Silent Hill and Resident Evil, but even non-horror games like Oxenfree or Life is Strange, movies like The Ring and The Grudge. There's plenty of J-horror in there. There's like a big bombastic horror like Malignant or Conjuring. It's just everything we loved all mashed up and in there in some form or another.
Now, Louise, we talked to Jason Blum last year, and he said we would likely see a Blumhouse game turned into a movie than the other way around. Can you sort of just give us a sense of what it is Blumhouse is looking for in a game?
Well, I think what we're looking for is vast. All those different types of horror, we're just looking at different ways to explore those. Because I think one thing we think as well is people have a specific idea of what a horror game is. And I love those experiences. But I think a lot of people think, I couldn't play a horror game. So actually opening it up to those different types of fear. So what we're actually looking for is just explorations of that. So as you saw, we announced a horror farming sim, which is perfect. It's a perfect combination of, I'll farm, I'll water, a corpse. You've got horror, you've got a bit of comedy, but you've also got a genre you understand. So we're just looking at interesting explorations of horror narratives, and that whether that's something with immediate fear or whether it's something that when you put it down and you go to sleep and you turn off your light, you can't. So.
Nice. Now, Christa and Bryan, I guess could you see this working in other mediums? You mentioned Oxenfree. That I think did that become a Netflix show or it's becoming a movie, something like that? But I mean, do you think Fear the Spotlight would work in other mediums, and is that something you're prepared to pursue?
I would take someone with some real vision, because we're gamers, through and through. And when we approach this, we really think about how does it play? How do you balance story and gameplay? And so the way we approach it is really thinking about the balance of how does a gamer play through the game. So if someone turned it into a movie, that'd be crazy. But I think it could work because we do have characters that you love, and there's a good mystery that you're really thinking about the whole time, but we wouldn't be the people to do it.
Now, there's a funny thing with Fear the Spotlight where if you Google it, it's got a Steam page, and it sort of already came out. Like you guys did kind of like a soft launch. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and I guess how the version that we're going to see out in the world soon enough differs from what was already released?
Yeah, so we worked on this as just a passion project with our own savings and our own time for 2 years because we wanted to make a horror game. And we released it, and it was starting to get big fans, and they were sharing it you have to play this horror game, no one's talking about it. And and Zach and Louise over at Blumhouse played through the whole thing, and they're like, wow, we really enjoy this game. Like, let's reach out and see how we can help them. And they got in contact with us, and they said, yeah, if you had support and help, what would you guys do with your game? And so we said, yeah, we want to be on consoles, we want to be localized to more languages, but they also gave us a little bit more time to develop extra content for the game. So when we first released it, it was maybe a 2 to 3 hour experience, and when it's released in the fall this year, it'll be about a 3 to 5 hour experience. So we're able to add an hour and a half to the game.
Awesome. And do you have a release date? Platforms announced yet?
Just
Not
this
quite
year.
yet.
Just this year.
Okay. Now, Bryan, we talked about this. This was on Newgrounds.
Yeah.
That's a word I haven't said in quite some time.
I go way back with Newgrounds. I grew up making games on Newgrounds, and that's how I kind of got my start in making games. So I've been doing it for 20 plus years if you count it from then. So as we were releasing our original version, our passion project version of our solo version of it, we didn't know how to get the word out, and we tried everything we could. I was like, oh yeah, my old stomping grounds, Newgrounds, let's give it a shot. And we had a demo of the game running in browser, which is sort of like the ethos of Newgrounds, like just go there and see what's happening. And yeah, we're just getting it everywhere we could.
That's such a trip. I mean, I imagine the final version is not going to be releasing on...
I don't think it would fit on Newgrounds.
Yeah. Now, Louise, can you tell us a little bit about sort of the Blumhouse philosophy about, I guess, game publishing versus movie publishing? Because it's considerably harder to make a game. They're both difficult to make, but sort of what's the approach there?
Yeah, so I think what we want to do, and I think Jason said it on stage when we announced, is Blumhouse was built on scary storytelling, but with small projects and small indie projects, because that's where, when creators have limitations, that's where we find a lot of real horror. It's properly scary because we have to use our imaginations a lot of the time, or maybe something's there and it's practical effects, it's not CG, it's much more touchable and scary. So you translate that across to games and you have smaller projects. And obviously the indie horror scene is thriving. We're playing incredible indie horror games, and to take the Blumhouse philosophy across is make small projects. It means we can take risks, it means we can be creative, it means that we can get our partners to really push the limits of scary storytelling in interesting ways, and it means that it doesn't have to be a million seller every time, as long as we're doing cool stuff that's going to sneak under people's skin, and that's what we're excited to do.
I like that. A sustainable business model that is also disgusting and terrifying and vaguely upsetting on some level.
And a hug from these guys too, it's lovely.
Wonderful. Now, Fear the Spotlight, it's out. Do we have a window or anything, or just kind of a...
Nope, coming later this year. You can wish list it now.
Awesome. Think about sort of fearing the spotlight is a lot of people fear the spotlight. And you were nice enough to bring along some sweatshirts, and these fine folks were nice enough to come hang out with us. But I had a crazy idea of maybe we'd put some people on the spot, and in return for their most terrified, fearing the spotlight face here at IGN Live, we would give them a sweatshirt. So let's see. I need 5 people who are ready to be terrified and to make a scary face. Pretend the killer's coming right at you. You're utterly mortified. You're frozen in just a rictus of fear. You seem awfully you just want to volunteer. All right, let's see it. Just that one right there. Get her. All right, it's not too bad. Now, you were right there in the. Yeah. Very good. Very good. You look like you could be, I don't know, at a nice summer camp getaway. What could possibly go wrong? Oh no, there's a masked killer coming straight at you. Pretty good. Here we go. You look like you're laughing at the killer. What kind of campy horror movie is this? Let me see your most horrified reaction. Okay. It's not always about the acting. Sometimes a good reaction is fun. All right. The funny hat. Let's see what's going on with there. That's just bashfulness. That's not terror. Okay, there we go. All right. Nicely done. All right. The final girl. Distillers. All right. A rictus of fear. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Louise, Bryan, Christa. Thank you for coming by. I'm looking forward to Fear the Spotlight. Man, it's honestly, I fear the spotlight a little bit when people are just looking over my shoulder. That's weird, but that is also, it goes with the territory here at IGN Live. Thanks for watching. Stick around.